Do you want to experience the zoo after hours under the glow of over 1 million lights? Brew Lights is on Friday, November 14th, one night only, gates open at 5:30 p.m. There's unlimited beer, wine, hard seltzer, and cider from regional vendors, plus carousel rides and LED party games. General admission, designated driver, and VIP early access with animal encounter tickets available. Tickets starting at $50 include a commemorative tasting glass. Get tickets at henryvilaszoo.gov/event/brew-lights-2. The holidays are starting early at the Bruce Company, and you're invited. Celebrate this season at the Bruce Company on Parmenter Street in Middleton. From November 5th through 9th, you'll find festive activities from Ladies' Night Out to their popular tradition, the annual Tree Walk, where you can wander through over 30 decorated trees and then vote for your favorite with the chance to win a prize. From sparkling lights to an upside-down Christmas tree, there's holiday magic around every corner. Check their event calendar for all the details at brucecompany.com. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, it's the Friday News Roundup, and the name of the game this week is balancing how to meet our community's needs with some tough financial realities, plus some exciting, happy news about a food court and some stuff like that. So we're going to get into it. And joining me now to do that is our executive producer, Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca. I'm so excited to share some good news this week.
Yes. Stick around for the good news from Haley. And we're here with our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Bianca.
Yeah, so this week I'm kicking us off with the story around the county budget. So this Wednesday, the Dane County Board passed its 2026 budget, sending it off to the county executive for a signature. The budget was a compromise spending plan with sizable cuts to address the county's $31 million budget deficit. Sounds familiar in terms of the city of Madison recently had a budget deficit of similar size. And y'all, it took weeks of back and forth between board supervisors and county players to get to this step. So the budget that moved forward was an amended budget that was less austere than the original, with cuts on certain community-based nonprofit agencies being a little less and more funding for services like homelessness prevention and securing more funds for the Bartolon Men's Shelter than the original proposed one for the county. So, I saw Board Supervisor Yogashala told Channel 15 that departments across the county were originally asked to reduce their spending by 4%. To make it fair, equitable, and some of that was eased up on in this amended budget. There's certainly a lot of pressure right now around funding for everyone, right? County Board Chair Patrick Miles said, quote, despite significant challenges driven by state-imposed revenue limits, federal gridlock, and funding uncertainty, we've passed a responsible and equitable budget. End of quote. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin State Journal reported that Dane County Executive Melissa Agard told supervisors on Wednesday that this amended budget could lead to unmanageable cuts down the line in 2027. So something was passed, certainly not perfect, a lot of contention, kind of a headache, right? Y'all thinking about them balancing the budget at a time like this when there's just so much need.
I am just getting the biggest wave of deja vu, because we've gone through this with the city of Madison. We were facing this $20 million deficit and we stepped up and said, okay, let's do this property tax proposal. And I'm just curious, what are the levers that the county has to pull when it comes to addressing the deficit? I genuinely don't know, they're talking about, you mentioned cuts, they're looking into hiring freezes and even pay reductions. And that just sounds terrible. What are the ways that the community can possibly step up and help here? I don't really know.
Well, they are increasing the tax levy, so there will be, for the average Madison household, about $15 more on your bill.
There it is.
So step it up a little bit, everyone, but it is a good question.
And through line this year is we've been reporting stories where people are saying the county wasn't holding up their end of some kind of contract. It was DCHS with taking care of animals that are found. The detox center was saying that they weren't getting their share of revenue that was agreed to. So, there are ripple effects all over the county for these deficits.
It feels like deja vu. I know we talked about the city, but also our last Friday News Roundup talking about the UW system and everyone making cuts across the board, right? And it was a similar sort of thing, 5 to 10%. This was 4%. And they lessened that a little bit, but like, is this going to actually solve the issue and the deficit if we're kicking it down the line? That's a question. Their funds go to things like public safety, housing, behavioral development, and human services programs. One of the major stories around the budget to come out was the proposed cuts to the county sheriff's department that have since been amended. So the sheriff, Calvin Barrett, has been out advocating pretty strongly and successfully to protect all of his current office positions. So there was a push to move funding from the sheriff's department over to health and human services, including a possible cut of 28 vacant roles. So that's pretty significant. And so that has shifted. There's a lot to look on here with the county budget, and we're going to try and get a little more details like outside of the Friday News Roundup. So stay tuned for that. I have to bring up a story. Another strange turn in the news around this budget this week is a now redacted story from Channel 3 claiming a local nonprofit, Urban Triage, that focuses on supporting Black Madisonians with success, including securing stable housing, was making accounting errors related to county funds, and pretty significant ones. The county executive, Melissa Agard's office, actually called upon Channel 3, the news outlet, to redact the story, saying, quote, "We're asking Channel 3 to remove the article and issue a retraction so the public receives accurate information." We were alarmed, y'all. We saw it. Rob Chappell of Madison 365 posted a whole story about the false reporting and the details that were confused by Channel 3. It just seems like a very disheartening thing that seems to happen to Urban Triage a lot. You know, seeing Madison 365's Nicholas Garton, a reporter earlier this year in April, saying that Urban Triage was letting them know they were experiencing years of harassment from individuals in and around Madison's local government scene and from the media spreading misinformation. So this isn't a new story. So I want to, throw to you guys and ask, what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, I'm super frustrated because obviously everyone wants accountability. We want accountability on the side of the county spending our money, accurately. And we want accountability on the sides of the nonprofit who are distributing these funds. And we want accountability from our news sources to give us full and accurate information. And this seemed like a major failing on News 3's part. I really don't know how this story made it into publishing. And I'm frustrated as a journalist because I feel like we are constantly begging people to take us seriously, to believe that the information that we are reporting is accurate and fact-checked and, ready for public consumption. And it's frustrating when outlets don't meet that standard. And I'm not saying that everyone is perfect all the time. That doesn't happen. It's not possible. People issue retractions, people issue corrections, people issue clarifications all the time. But especially when it comes to an organization like Urban Triage that has been under scrutiny before, I think that these outlets need to really take a look on themselves and saying like, okay, we're making these really strong accusations. Are our facts backed up? And when the county executive is coming out and saying this is wrong and you have a fundamental misunderstanding of how this budget works, that's a really big yikes from me.
Yeah, so we'll link to the story that has, the details from Madison 365 of what happened. Obviously, the other story has been removed, but, there's a lot of concern around scrutinizing some nonprofits over others. And we want to get to the bottom of this because this is a major organization in our community, and they have alleged in the past that they are being treated unfairly by the media. And so we want to know, and we also want to do this story justice and tell it responsibly so we're not spreading any misinformation. So, we'll follow up on that. But in the meantime, we've got more news to get into, believe it or not. We've been talking about budgets and social services and community needs. We're going to turn next to talk about SNAP benefits. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. This weekend, come fall in love as Madison Opera presents Puccini's La Bohème, one of the world's most popular operas. Set to a ravishing score, La Bohème tells of the lives, loves, and losses of a group of young artists in the Latin Quarter of 1830s Paris. Whether you're new to opera or a longtime fan, don't miss this moving work that audiences have adored for over a century, brought to life by a dynamic young cast. Projected English translations will make sure you don't miss a word of love, friendship, humor, or heartbreak. La Bohème simply has no equal. Take your seat in Overture Hall and escape into opera's greatest love story. You only have 2 chances to see La Bohème, so join Madison Opera on Friday, November 7th at 7:30 p.m. or Sunday, November 9th at 2:30 p.m. Tickets start at under $25. Get yours today at madisonopera.org. All right, we're back. And Rob, you've got the next story.
Yeah, we're talking more about the precarious state of federal food assistance benefits, known as SNAP benefits. We talked about this some on the podcast last week. But to catch you up real quick, the United States Department of Agriculture said it would not be distributing money for those benefits in November due to the government shutdown. And then a bunch of states, including Wisconsin, filed a lawsuit about that. And a federal judge ruled that the Trump administration had to spend from its contingency fund USDA has to meet those benefits. And then the USDA said, well, it could only fund about half those benefits and they would be significantly delayed. And Wisconsin Department of Health Services officials said this week that the benefits would take weeks instead of days to arrive and would be significantly reduced. So there's still a lot of uncertainty, a lot of chaos around all this, and it all falls on the most vulnerable Americans, including 700,000 people in Wisconsin who depend on those benefits through the state's food share program. And as a result of that, Governor Tony Evers declared a state of emergency and ordered state agencies to do whatever they can to address the potential stoppage of benefits, such as waiving administrative rules that might slow things down and enforcing the state's ban on price gouging. And so coincidentally, we know Governor Evers pretty well. You guys sat down with him recently, and I think the issue of food insecurity came up, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Thank you for bringing it up. Pretty crazy. Interviewed the governor this this week. That episode dropped on Tuesday. So if you out there listening haven't heard it, definitely go back and take a listen so you can hear the full interview and what he had to say about food insecurity. But he actually brought it up as one of the core issues he wants to focus on after he retires late next year. So, we didn't get that deep into the SNAP benefits, but he highlighted it as something that just seems absolutely insane that the federal government would be making the choice to not follow through on this effort. But yeah, go back and listen to the episode if you haven't heard it already to hear more.
Yeah, I give a plus 1,000 to that. Bianca had a really great interview with Governor Evers, super wide ranging. You guys covered a really pretty wide array of subjects, getting into everything from the personal to the professional to the future of Wisconsin politics. You did get to ask about whether or not he was going to endorse someone. He didn't. Spoiler. We didn't think he would, but Bianca got to ask, which was awesome. But I think one of the big takeaways for me from that interview, just having observed that and been in the room while Bianca was having this conversation with Governor Evers was, his interest and commitment to community and what is his place in the community once he leaves office. And it's, I think, encouraging for me to see that, he really wanted to step up and make a difference. He was talking about, volunteering in areas of stopping domestic violence. And, this man, I think he is genuine public servant through and through. So yeah, definitely go take a listen to that interview. Rob also put up a really great article online. We have a full transcript of the interview. We have a video of this interview. Shout out to Michael Doyle Olson for doing that for us. We'll throw a link to that in our show notes.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was neat to see him one-on-one in a extended and, as you said, far-reaching conversation like that. And I was also struck by that because, Bianca, you asked him what he was going to do when he in retirement, which is a question he apparently asks when he goes out and goes to somebody's retirement party. And, you think he'd say, oh, I'm going to go birding. I'm going to go, I'm going to go out my speedboat or something like that. And he was like, no, I'm going to volunteer in these two areas. So it's like, even though he's leaving office, he's obviously not leaving these issues behind.
That was heartening. It was like, I think I said, oh, I thought you'd say like boating or something,
Like
but there are
fishing.
serious issues. He's like, nah, I am not even close to done.
I think he's going on a train trip with his wife, right? He's going to have some fun, right? But it's also heartening to see how people here in Dane County have really been stepping up in the last couple of weeks with all this news about the SNAP benefits to helping neighbors in need. I wrote an article that highlighted all the ways that people can get help in Dane County, from all our food pantries to senior nutrition programs to reduced price school lunches, all the sort of the web of like help that's out there aside from these federal benefits. So that article's also up on our website. And it also talks about all the places that people can help, can donate food or money or just their time to support that good work. There's also a new mutual aid site called Madison Grocery Share that is directly connecting people in need to other people who can help them on sort of a one-to-one, peer-to-peer basis, which I think is a great idea. So I really urge people to check that out and use it as a resource, whether they need help or they want to give help, because the need is great out there. We're entering the holidays, but it's a year-round need that's only growing, and there's no guarantee about when this is going to end.
Yeah, I'm so grateful to know that tons of readers have clicked on the resources. Like, we can actually see that and see that y'all are engaging with these, wonderful community organizations, and this new one, Madison Grocery Share, that's come together. Like, it's really heartening and we appreciate it. It makes some of this darker news a little easier. So go to madison.citycast.fm to go see that article, or check your inbox if you're a subscriber to Madison Minutes, which you should be. Alrighty, we're going to carry on with this Friday News Roundup with some positive news, some more positive news. But before we do that, let's take a quick break. Haley, our positive news savior. What's happening?
Yes, I feel like these past couple of weeks I have been the bearer of bad news. And of course, those stories don't stop. But I'm here this week with some good news for y'all on the Madison restaurant front. There's some new spots opening up around town for people to get excited about, and we're going to talk about them now. Let's start downtown. There is a new food hall that has recently opened at 123 East Wilson Street. This is actually downtown's first food hall. There are others that exist outside of the area already, and it anchors the luxury apartment buildings called 109. You guys have probably seen them, overlooking Lake Monona, right off of John Nolan. And this project is pretty exciting because we have complained about it on this show before. For a city that is built on a literal isthmus, there is not enough lakefront dining. And, this isn't exactly like on the water. Like, you can't just get a sandwich and then go for a swim. But it really is about as close as you can get, and with some sweeping views of Lake Monona. So y'all excited about these new lakefront options?
Yeah, I was going to say, outside of like Brittingham boats and burgers on the bay, like, this is pretty good.
That's not even lakefront. That's
on the lake.
That's in the lake.
How much closer can you get?
Yeah, I don't need to actually get in the lake to enjoy lakefront dining. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I'm happy to stay on the shore.
I love it. I love it. So let's dig into the food. So I mentioned it's a food hall. So there's like a bunch of different options. And I don't really know if there's a technical difference between food hall and food court. I guess food hall is just maybe the more elevated way of talking about it. So it's basically a food court. Anyways, not all the stalls have been claimed yet, but so far the vendors include Paleo, serving Neapolitan pizza and pasta dishes. There's also Casey's Tavern, serving, tavern fare. Real Seafood Co. serving seafood options like chowder and lobster rolls, which sound really yummy to me. One Social Bar. it's a bar. And lastly, the only locally owned stall so far is Signora Machetes, whose menu, according to the Cap Times, will mirror that of its sister, or in this case, maybe brother, restaurant, Senor Machetes, who serves Mexican cuisine over on East Main Street, right off the square. So like I mentioned, there are still some stalls left to be claimed. Apparently, the folks at Halong Bay have maybe expressed some interest. Who knows? Nothing has been signed yet. And on top of the food hall, there's also going to be a new steakhouse opening in the project called One Prime Steakhouse and a cocktail lounge called Blue Jack. So kind of a play on blackjack because it's blue by the lake, I guess. I don't know. And those spots are set to open on November 13th. So the food hall itself, all of those first couple spots that I mentioned, those are open already, ready to go. The other ones coming on the 13th. What do you guys think of the food hall concept? And are any of these spots speaking to you?
Well, I'm, kind of looking at photos of it right now, and I'll say I think y'all need a little bit more decorations, like some plants, some color. It's lacking color, but of course you can look out the window. But if you need us, we don't have a business, but we're creating one right now to come in and help you decorate because that sounds really fun. My second thought is I'm looking at the bar, and it seems a little like airporty, and I could just picture us sitting at different parts of the bar and working and eating at lunch and then sticking our tongue out at each other. It seems fun. It's really big. It's very open. And it seems like a good thing to have new experiences all in one place. Obviously if you have family or your friends have different, dining interests, you get to kind of play around here.
I will say, whenever I go to a food hall or a food court, I experience so much choice paralysis. I don't know if it's just me. I cannot decide what to get, especially when it's all a bunch of different things like this. We went to the Global Food Hall, the one out by Easttown, which is great. And I ate so much because I was like, well, what if I just get a little of that and a little of pho, maybe half a banh mi, and then, and it stresses me out a little bit. I definitely want to go check it out, but I think I need a plan ahead of time so I don't get caught like that.
That's so real, Rob. I mean, I experience decision paralysis every day, but especially when it comes to food, because I'm I want to eat it all and you want every bite to be perfect and you want it all to be beautiful. But I feel to help alleviate that, you just got to go with friends or family, right? And then be okay, you go get a pizza and you go get a pasta and I'm going to get a lobster roll and someone else is getting a steak and then we'll get tacos, and then everyone can share. I'm a big fan, if you guys can't tell. I love family style. I love sharing. I think sharing meals, sharing food is such a form of love and just, expression that it just makes me feel so connected to people. So yeah, I'm really excited about all these new options. They seem, kind of different, at least from what downtown offerings already have. And like you said, Bianca, they probably could use a little bit more, maybe some local art. Maybe they could get some local artists. I think this place is screaming for a mural of some kind. We know a few of those folks who could do that. A little more color so it doesn't just feel like gentrification station, And again, I say gentrification station because, I really can't help notice the disparities of it all between the fast casual dining and the luxury housing. And I can't even talk about these apartments because I will literally put myself into a tailspin if we talk about how much rent is in this place.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm excited. I think it'll be cool to have something new. I'm excited to see the space grow. It's, it's kind of a new type of third space. Obviously, you're still spending money there, but again, a place for gathering, a place for community. And I think Madisonians have time and time again told us, even specifically, they want to be in community. We want to be around people. We want to experience life together. And so I think it's awesome. We'll see what happens. And I hope the rest of those stalls fill out. And, speaking of apartments and new places, I told you guys there were a couple of spots I wanted to get into. There is another new restaurant that I wanted to tell you about over on the east side. So the new Union Corners Tavern has opened up at 2438 Winnebago Street, aka the space that used to formerly house Touch of Ukraine. This new spot is the sister restaurant to Rare Steakhouse over on the square, fancy steaks and whatnot. And this new spot will be serving classic pub fare and some more like elevated entrees. Personally, I was really bummed when Touch of Ukraine announced their closure. I've been there a few times and, it was just good vibes, good people. The spot was owned by 3 Ukrainian refugees and the staff there and the food was just really lovely. But on the bright side of this, some of the former Touch of Ukraine employees are actually going to be working at Union Corners Tavern. Some of them have apparently already gotten jobs at Rare already in, anticipation of the new spot opening. So, these new owners are giving some respect to that. And I really do appreciate that. And another new bright spot for this Union Corners Tavern, at least to me, is skee ball. You guys know what I'm talking about?
The table where you like roll a ball and there are like circles that you try to get into the middle. Yeah.
Exactly that. I love skee ball. Like I don't know about you guys, but I love skee balls. And apparently Union Corners Tavern has free skee ball machines and they're planning on starting a skee ball league according to the Wisconsin State Journal. So that's pretty awesome to me. I mean, you can tell I'm really excited. Do you guys have feelings about skee ball?
Incredible.
So I love the idea, but if it's free, that means you don't get tickets, right? When you win.
Yeah, I guess there's no arcade.
Skee ball is all about massing up like 250 tickets. You can take it to the counter and get like a little plastic ring or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I assume that they won't have at Union Corners. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they can do the ticket part for you and people like you and like me and keep it free. Like the free is good, right? Like free is good. And for me, it brings up like sock hops and like whack-a-mole games. And like, it's sort of the arcade space, sock hops being like going to the skating rink and then you can skate and then they also like play music videos. And of course, I don't know if they still exist. I hope they do.
Wasn't sock hops like the 50s? Like, Bianca, you've not been around that long.
No, that's what they called them, Rob.
Okay,
like when I went to like Boys and Girls Club, like growing up, we went to the sock hop in Sock City and it was like my favorite
Sock
thing.
City. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay.
Sock City Sock Hop.
Yeah.
Maybe that's related and why they kept it that way, yeah.
I love it. Well, see, it's got the people talking. It's got the people ready to go. Like I said, I'm excited. And again, I'm really hoping the best for these folks. You'll see me there for skee ball.
Mm-hmm. And the food looks great. I'm looking at the menu. Like they've got a lot of great tasty things that I'd be interested in, including lavender and black garlic chicken. Throwing lavender on there? Girl, stop. Yes. All right. Well, we're really excited about them, and we love highlighting new and exciting places on the show around town. And speaking of our neighbors, regularly write us and let us know places that they think you should check out. And we've got a new neighbor. And her name is Jane O. Jane, thank you for joining the neighborhood. And along with thanking you, I hope you and everyone else out there who are neighbors will write us and talk about some people, places, and spots that they love. And that's just one of the perks is on the Friday News Roundup. We make time to share places that you're excited about that you think are doing good work. So thank you, Jane, and thank you to all of our neighbors. If you don't know too much about the CityCast Madison Neighbor Program, we are a member-supported show and newsletter, which means when you become a CityCast Madison neighbor, you're directly contributing to the work we do right here in Madison. And y'all, in a time when national news can feel so heavy, so overwhelming, and if I'm being honest, incredibly disparaging, we need to bring some light to our city. That's what we're trying to do here with CityCast Madison. So that doesn't mean we only talk about the good things happening in a town, of course, far from it, but we do like talking about good things.
We love talking about good things. We cover it all, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like I said, I have been the bearer of bad news on this show for the past 2 weeks. And now today I get to share some good news about all of these new restaurants. And it's always exciting for us when new neighbors come and join our neighbor program because it really just helps us keep going in a time when things are really, really hard. And, Bianca mentioned there are some perks that come with membership, some of those being ad-free listening, extra members-only newsletters, invites to members-only events that we host around town, and a whole bunch more. So, it's a really great program for us. And like we mentioned, we really cover every inch and angle of what's going on here in Madison because we love it here and we live here. And there's a lot of work that goes into bringing you this daily podcast and newsletter. And when you become a neighbor, it is the best way to support the work that we do. So, Rob, how can people become neighbors?
Well, they should go to membership.citycast.fm. You can sign up. We do work hard to make this podcast and newsletter every day, and it's so gratifying to get that response back and to have people in our corner who says this matters to us. And every time I look in the newsletter and I put a call out that somebody needs help and I see all these clicks that, that's the kind of community we're building here, and we're just really happy to have our members be a part of it.
Yeah. So sign up today at membership.citycast.fm. Haley, you've got a little bit possibly fun news, depending on your proclivities. How are we going to end this week?
Yeah, so it's November, in case you guys haven't noticed. And I don't know about y'all, but I was on a walk this morning and I was just wondering, where is all the snow? It used to snow on Halloween. And where is it right now? The leaves are beautiful, but where's the snow? So, don't worry. The snow is coming, maybe, allegedly. I'm not a weather person, but I have read the weather online, and they say that signs of winter are on the way. Southern Wisconsin might just see its first wintry weather this weekend. Say that 5 times fast. You can expect a rainy Saturday afternoon that might just turn into snow overnight. It'll likely melt by Monday, but for all the snow lovers out there, now's your time. Get excited. Winter is on the way. But for anyone else out there who is absolutely dreading what I just said, because I know there are probably a few of y'all out there, there are still some ways to hold on to our last remnants of spring and summer, because lilacs are blooming in the UW Arboretum. Can you believe it?
Insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's wild. According to the Wisconsin State Journal, this fall blossom is starting to become an annual event for the Arboretum. And why? Well, it's simply because we haven't had a real freeze yet. And the recent cool weather is basically acting as a refrigerator to help these flowers act as if they were, cut flowers. So,
whoa.
Yeah, they're just freezing them in place without, actually freezing, right? So there's a bit of wonder to leave you with this week. We've got snow, but we've also got lilacs.
Leaving them with wonder. Gorgeous week with all of its complexities. We've got some joy and hope y'all experience some joy here. So thanks for rounding up the news with me this week, y'all. Haley Sperling, you're the best.
You're the best.
Thank you kindly, Queen. Rob Thomas, you are the best as well.
Bianca, continue to be the best.
Simply the best. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. We're produced by Jedi Siri Ramos with help this week by PJ Shahamat and Matthew Rogers. Haley Sperling is our executive producer. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Additional music this week by the Madison Opera, Artem Krasnodar from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images, and Gary Combs, courtesy of Epidemic Sound. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor with help this week from McKenna Harford. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to Madison Minutes. And don't forget, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And hey, if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with someone who loves skee ball? Let's go! All right, see you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then, thanks for listening and have a fantastic weekend. Carry on. What am I trying to sing with this throat? Okay.